All right, let's jump right into this. What if the story of our planet, our entire history, is completely different from anything we've ever been taught? Today, we're cracking open Lori Ladd's The Divine Design. And let me tell you, it lays out this incredible cosmic history of humanity that starts millions of years ago and leads directly to the, well, kind of chaotic times we're living in right now.
So before we even get into the story itself, you have to hear how this book even came to be. The author, Lori Ladd, says she didn't exactly write it. She says the entire thing came to her in a flash, a direct download of information while she was at Machu Picchu. And who was it from? A group of beings she calls the Galactic Federation of Light. So yeah, let's dig into what they had to say.
So where does this incredible story even begin? We have to go back millions of years. And the first thing you have to wrap your head around is that according to this book, Earth isn't just a rock. It's a conscious being that volunteered for this massive cosmic experiment to see what it was like to live in a super high vibrational fifth-dimensional reality.
And who was running this experiment? Who were the architects? The book introduces us to the Galactic Federation of Light, or the GFOL for short. You can think of them as this council of 12 super advanced light beings who heard Earth's call and basically said, "We're in." They became the designers and, the guardians of this whole planetary project.
Now, the original plan for this 5D Earth was basically a paradise. And when we say 5D, don't think of it as a place, think of it as a state of being, a state of total unity. Communication, all telepathic. If you needed something, you just create it instantly with your thoughts. And maybe the biggest thing, there was no good versus evil, no right versus wrong. It was just connection.
But that paradise, that 5D state, well, it didn't last. The whole experiment took this really dramatic and unexpected turn, all because of one single, unbreakable cosmic rule: free will.
So here's what happened. The book explains that humanity, using that free will, started choosing to explore lower frequencies, things like separation, individuality, and all that good versus evil stuff. And this collective choice, made over thousands and thousands of years, was so powerful it literally dragged the planet's vibration down all the way from the fifth dimension into the dense, physical 3D reality we know today. And it's really important to note, this wasn't a punishment, it was just a consequence of choice.
And I mean, the difference between these two states is just staggering. We went from unity to separation, from telepathy to having to use spoken words, from creating things instantly to having to work for them over time. And maybe the most important shift of all, we went from remembering where we came from to having total amnesia about our origins, all while living in these much heavier, denser physical bodies.
So you can imagine, this was a massive curveball for the architects, the GFL. The whole original plan was out the window. So they had a huge question on their hands. How in the world do you redesign an entire planet to support souls in this brand new, super dense reality? So, did they just scrap the whole project? Nope. Instead, they adapted. The GFOL stepped in to basically create a whole new cosmic infrastructure, a new set of rules for this new game, all designed to help souls navigate the challenges of living in the third dimension.
And some of the changes they made were, wow, pretty profound. The book claims the moon was actually created to bring in more feminine energy to balance things out. The oceans were expanded to help conduct energy. But maybe the most important tool they created was a new navigation system, something to help souls deal with that amnesia they'd experience every time they were born.
And that new system is called the Akashic Record. So what is it? Think of it like a blueprint or a map that your soul creates before you're born. It lays out your life plan, the people you're going to meet, the big experiences you're going to have. It's this idea that nothing is random. It's all part of a plan that you designed for your own soul's growth.
Okay, so the new 3D game board is all set up. Now what? Well, the book says a call went out. A call across the entire cosmos for volunteers. They were looking for souls from higher dimensions who were brave enough to incarnate on Earth and help humanity and the planet get back to the light.
And the souls who answered that call, they're known as Lightworkers. Their whole mission is to jump into these dense 3D bodies and, just by being here, act like living, breathing anchors for higher frequency light, helping to raise the planet's vibe from the inside out. And they didn't all show up at once. They came in 3 very distinct waves, each with a very specific job to do.
The book breaks it down like this. First, you had the Beacons, who showed up between the 40s and 60s. Their job was just to be here, to ground the light, even if they didn't know they were doing it.
Then came the soldiers, from the 60s to the 90s. These are the ones who are supposed to wake up and start questioning and dismantling all the old systems. And finally, you have the pioneers, born from the 90s onward, whose job it is to actually start building the new 5D world.
Okay, so this whole cosmic backstory, this multi-million-year journey, it's all been leading up to right now, this very moment. The book argues that what we're all living through isn't some terrible collapse. It's the Great Awakening. It's the grand finale.
And apparently, a huge turning point in all of this was an event back in 1987 called the harmonic convergence. It's described as this massive energetic shift that basically locked Earth onto a one-way path back to the fifth dimension. It was like a point of no return. From that moment on, the planet's ascension was a done deal.
So what does this shift actually feel like for a person? The book lays out 4 basic steps. First is acclimation. Your body just has to get used to these new, higher frequencies. Then comes assimilation, where you actually integrate that light and it starts pushing out the old dense stuff. Next is tapping, which is where you make a conscious choice to live in that higher vibe. And finally, anchoring, where you stabilize and that new 5D reality becomes your new normal.
Now this changes how you look at the news, right? From this point of view, all the chaos, the fighting, the corruption we see, it's not a sign that things are getting worse. It's all the old, dense, collective trauma coming up to the surface so it can finally be seen, felt, and healed. It's a planetary purge.
So, when you boil it all down, the whole point of the divine design is to empower you. It reframes this massive, epic, cosmic story so that it leads directly to, well, to you. The whole saga is designed to help you remember just how powerful you are and to remember the specific role you came here to play in this incredible planetary shift.
And that really leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. When you look at our world through the lens of this cosmic story, you have to ask yourself, what if all the chaos we see isn't a world that's ending, but a world that's finally waking up?